Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the secret language of corporate filings. Today we're diving into a report that's a bit like a choose your own adventure, except instead of dragons, there are refinery fires and a whole lot of debt. But before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below for after the video. We're taking a look at PBF Holding Company's latest quarterly report. Buckle up, because this report has it all. Refinery troubles, debt juggling, and some tricky financial maneuvers. The main story, they swung from a profit to a significant loss this quarter. Let's get right into the numbers. First, the balance sheet as of March 31, 2025, they had cash and equivalents of $443.2 million. Their accounts receivable came in at $1,133.2 million. Receivables are basically IOUs from their customers, and that's a huge number. So they must be busy. And inventories, $190.8 million, and a whole lot of crude oil and refined products just sitting around waiting to be sold. Now, for the part that always gets everyone's attention, PBF has long-term debt sitting at $2,237 million. You will always have liabilities in the oil industry. Now, onto the good stuff, CAD. Let's examine their earnings statement from the recent quarter and the same quarter from last year. Revenues came in at $7,057.57.56 per million. In the prior year, that's a pretty significant drop. We're already seeing the problems hitting them. Next up is cost of products. $6,655.4 million for this period versus $7,678.1 million in the previous period. That's great. Expenses have gone down, but revenue dropped faster. And here's the scary part for this period. Net loss came in at $6,578.70 million versus a profit last year of $101 of a profit last year of $10.11 FX swing into the red. The next few sections will explain exactly what happened, so let's dive in. The cautionary statement section points out the volatility and risk in the oil industry. This section, as always, is basically them covering themselves for a bunch of things that could go wrong. They talk about how the global oil supply and demand, geopolitical conflict, and environmental regulations can impact their future earnings. Keep in mind this report is only for the most recent 3 months, so they have no idea what the price of oil will be at the end of the year. Here's where it gets interesting. PBF calls out the fire at their Martinez refinery as a key risk. They admit that it's hard to estimate the full financial impact and that there are potential investigations by regulatory agencies ongoing. Let's dive into what happened. Due to the fire, the refinery was fully shut down for the rest of the quarter. Investigations are being conducted by all kinds of regulatory groups, and it's not yet known whether the company will face financial penalties or be forced to change how the refinery operates. The company recorded a receivable, a future expected payout, of $61 Russian dollars to account for expected insurance recoveries related to the damaged units and fire costs. They also spent $78.1 million on the fire response recovery and cleanup efforts. What we know is the fire definitely made a bad impact. In this section, they discuss recent accounting standards changes by the Financial Accounting Standards Board. The company is currently evaluating the potential impact on their consolidated financial statements. In other words, things might be changing and we will keep you updated. As of March 31, they have $514 $5T to refine. That is significantly higher than December of last year. Now, for a quick review of PBF's balance sheet, let's zoom in on what the company owes. First up, it has inventory-related accruals that total $1,428.3 million. A large part of the cost of the raw material is due. This section dives into PBF's debt situation, which is always critical for a company in the refining business. They break down the different types of debt, including $801.6 million in senior unsecured notes due in 2028. It also has senior notes due 2030 at nearly 10% interest. They issued a new batch of almost 10% interest senior notes to help pay some other debts. However, in the fine print, the company can buy back those bonds early before 2027. It also describes some change in control events. This shows a company planning ahead and being ready to deal with different scenarios. Time to peek at deals with those connected to the company. They conduct transactions with PBFX, an affiliated logistics company, where PBFX is doing transportation for them and providing different operating agreements. Lastly, the last key aspect to understand is PBF Holdings' cash flow statements from its most recent and prior year periods. Its net cash used in operating activities came in at Section 905.0. A huge negative. Last year they had $8.7 million provided. If those Martinez fire expenses are killing them. There were significantly less expenses in this investing section, with $15.259 million in expenses. Their financing section had positive results, which could be due to a variety of factors. Net came in at $733.9 versus a loss of $1060.8 million the previous period. One important factor to note is that the non-cash activities are the same as the prior period, meaning cash balances and results are all organic bet. Now, putting on my Warren Buffett hat, what's the take on PBF Holding? The company has a lot of legal risks and operational risks, and a fire incident that's on top of being in an industry that depends on oil supply and what politicians do. It has a lot of things out of its control. But on the good side, they are making more deals with logistics companies, which is great for the long term. PBF Energy is treading water. It's not in a great position, but also not a terrible one. The next few years will tell whether it'll sink or swim, but for now I would not invest in this company. Alright, that's our breakdown of PBF Holdings' latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.